I've got some troubling news about England's royal family.
For years, whispers of secrets within the royal household have lingered, but now technology has uncovered something no one expected. Using advanced AI scanning, investigators turned their focus to Queen Camilla's private vault, a place few ever imagined held more than personal treasures.
When I started my public life 12 years ago, I understood the media might be interested in what I did.
What they found inside left the monarchy shaken to its core. Belongings that once belonged to the late Princess Diana.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
This revelation raises questions of loyalty, legacy, and hidden truths. Why were Diana's possessions locked away, and what does this discovery truly mean? The shadow inside the vault. When the artificial intelligence scanners locked onto the thick steel doors of Camilla's private vault at Ray Mill House, no one expected history to tremble. The vault had been sealed for decades, its contents known only to a handful of trusted aides. But in early 2024, as part of a modernization effort to digitally catalog royal possessions, AI imaging technology was brought in to examine the vault's interior without disturbing a single lock. What the machines detected was not merely inventory, it was revelation. Just weeks earlier, Clarence House had been thrown into quiet chaos. A discreet audit of the royal collection revealed something deeply unsettling. Several of Princess Diana's most treasured jewels, thought to be safely secured since her tragic passing in 1997, were missing. The audit's list was chilling in its detail. Among the vanished pieces was Diana's emerald and diamond bangle, with its matching gold earrings, immortalized in photographs from her glittering charity galas. Her sapphire brooch, later turned into a pendant she adored, could no longer be traced. And most haunting of all, the missing diamond earring, the twin to the one recovered from the wreckage in Paris, had disappeared completely. At first, the discovery spread only in whispers among the royal staff, but when the findings reached the family, the silence was shattered. Panic rippled through the halls. To the public, these jewels were symbols of elegance and refinement. To the Windsors, they were relics of Diana herself, echoes of her laughter, her pain, and her defiance, sealed in gold and stone. Inside the chamber at Clarence House, the tension was unbearable. King Charles, still recovering from cancer therapy, struggled to contain his anger. "What do you mean Diana's jewels are missing?" he demanded, his voice echoing against the paneled walls. His frailty could not mask the steel in his tone. Standing before him, Mr. Emerald, head of the Royal Treasury Unit, trembled as he clutched the audit papers. His lips moved, but words failed him. In the corner, Prince William sat motionless, his hands clasped tight. For years, he had fought to preserve his mother's memory from distortion, manipulation, and loss. Now her final possessions are gone. He rose suddenly, his composure breaking. "Those were the last things my mother left for me and Harry," he said, his voice raw with grief. "And now they're gone." The words sliced through the air like glass. Even Charles looked down, struck silent. But it was Princess Anne who shattered the paralysis. Rising from her chair, her eyes were cold, deliberate. "This is supposed to be the most secure house in the kingdom," she said. "We don't want comfort, we want answers." Her words hit like hammer blows. Around her, courtiers shifted uneasily, glancing at one another but daring not to speak. Charles raised a weary hand. "Enough," he said. "We will not let panic rule this house." But Anne is right. We don't need promises. We need the truth. His eyes locked on Mr. Emerald. Find out who did this. Find out how they vanished. And bring them back. Hours later, as AI scanners began mapping every inch of Camilla's vault, the digital feed flickered. and the system froze. The technicians leaned in, confused. Among Camilla's personal collection, hidden behind decades of dust and velvet, appeared faint, glowing outlines, a bangle, a sapphire pendant, and a single diamond earring, its design unmistakably Diana's. The silence in the room turned electric. Somewhere in those shadows, the ghosts of two women, one living, one gone, had finally crossed paths.
From our very own Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook, who's in the Far East at the moment, that Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident.
And the royal house, once again, found itself haunted by the legacy it could never bury.
As a mother of two small boys, I think we may have to find a securer way of helping our children.
So, what did the scanners really uncover that night? A trace of betrayal or a truth too dangerous to expose beneath royal silence? Keep watching. The vault that spoke in secrets. By the following week, the walls of Clarence House seemed to hum with unease. Every drawer had been searched, every record cross-checked, and every guard interrogated. Yet the truth remained buried beneath layers of silence. The royal treasury had no answers. Diana's jewels, those fragments of her story, had vanished as though the earth itself had swallowed them. But everything changed late one night when Mr. Emerald, weary and sleepless, sat alone beneath the cold glow of his desk lamp, combing once again through the endless ledgers that his team had already reviewed a dozen times. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Transfer logs, coded stamps, neat signatures, all in perfect order. But then, a single line caught his tired eyes. A transfer note, dated only a few months earlier. Routine on the surface. Until he looked closer. The destination field, where the jewels should have been traced, was blank. In its place were three sharply written words. Undisclosed vault. R.H. Emerald's pulse quickened. How had everyone overlooked this? The handwriting was deliberate, confident, someone who expected never to be questioned. Within the hour, he summoned his closest advisors. 6 men gathered around the long oak table. Jameson, the deputy, Carter, the record specialist, Miles, the security chief, Howard, the legal advisor, Flynn, the archivist, and Grant, the liaison with Scotland Yard. Emerald laid the document before them. His voice was calm but heavy with meaning. "Gentlemen," he said, "this changes everything." The jewels weren't stolen. They were moved. The men exchanged uneasy glances. "But what is R.H.?" Carter asked quietly. "Royal House?" Jameson suggested. Flynn hesitated. "Or Residence of Her Majesty." The words hung in the air like smoke. No one dared say the name that trembled behind them. By dawn, their decision was clear. The king must be told. That morning, King Charles convened a secret meeting in his private study. The doors were locked. Guards were posted outside. Only Charles, Anne, William, and the Treasury team were present. The king's face was pale, but his voice cut through the tension. "This discovery stays within these walls," he said. "Until we know the truth, we will open every private vault in the royal house." Anne gave a sharp nod. William leaned forward, his voice shaking with urgency. "It's the only way." When the plan was announced to the rest of the family later that day, not everyone received it quietly. Queen Camilla, seated stiffly beside the king, frowned. "Is this truly necessary?" she asked, her tone laced with restraint. "Must we humiliate ourselves by tearing open private vaults like criminals?" William's reply was instant, cutting through the air. "You don't understand. These aren't just jewels. They're my mother's legacy. If there's nothing to hide, there's nothing to fear." Camilla's expression froze, her knuckles tightening around the armrest. Charles raised his hand. "Enough," he said. "The vaults will be opened. That evening, the operation began in silence. Guards stood at attention as one by one, the royal vaults, normally unseen by anyone outside the monarchy, were unlocked under the king's direct order. Charles' vault was first. Inside were medals from his service, foreign gifts, and family documents, but no sign of Diana's jewels. Then came Anne's, immaculate and sparse. Nothing. William's, untouched. Nothing. Finally, it was Camilla's turn. Her vault at Ray Mill House had not been opened in decades. A thick scent of cedar and dust filled the air as technicians wheeled in the AI scanning device. The machine whirred to life, beams of blue light cutting across shelves of ornate cases. For minutes, nothing appeared, just the hum of data collection. Then suddenly, the monitor flickered. The analysts froze. Faint outlines began to emerge, the distinctive shape of an emerald bangle, a sapphire pendant, and a solitary diamond earring, a mirror image of the one recovered in Paris. The room fell silent. Anne's eyes narrowed. William's jaw tightened. There was no mistaking it. What the AI had found, locked deep inside Camilla's vault, belonged not to the Queen, but to Diana. And in that moment, the palace realized that the vault had finally spoken, revealing secrets it was never meant to share. But what did this forbidden discovery truly mean? An innocent mix-up, or a buried betrayal now unearthed? Stay tuned. The discovery that shook the palace. Princess Anne's vault was opened first, and it was exactly what everyone expected. Clean, orderly, and unpretentious, much like her. Rows of gleaming silver trophies from her equestrian victories lined the shelves, alongside framed portraits and carefully wrapped state gifts collected over decades of royal service. The team scanned every inch with the AI device, but there was nothing, not a single trace of Diana's missing jewels. Anne folded her arms tightly across her chest, her expression unreadable, her pride unshaken. Then came Prince William's vault. Smaller and far more personal, it carried the air of memory rather than wealth. Inside were childhood mementos, tiny keepsakes from his school days, photographs of Diana holding him and Harry, and boxes of handwritten letters from his mother, preserved in soft leather cases. When the door creaked open, William stepped forward silently. His jaw locked as the AI scanner swept across the space, reflecting off the metal and glass. The result appeared on the monitor in seconds. No jewelry, no heirlooms, no sign of Diana's lost treasures. Only memories, untouched, untarnished, but unbearably painful. Finally, the team arrived at the last vault, Camilla's. The air in the chamber changed. The vault's door was newer than the rest, its steel surface polished and untouched by time. Even the locking mechanism looked recently reinforced. As Charles gave the command, the technicians turned the heavy wheel. Metal scraped against metal, echoing through the corridor. The door opened with a low hiss, releasing a chill that swept through the room. Lanterns flickered to life as investigators stepped inside. The AI scanners followed, their beams slicing through the darkness. The shelves were lined with velvet cases, each one labeled with meticulous precision. But the room itself felt untouched, as though it had been sealed for years. Then, under the dim glow of a single overhead bulb, something unmistakable glimmered. There they were, the emerald bangle, the sapphire brooch, the lone diamond earring, the twin to the one recovered from Paris. For a moment, no one breathed. The air felt heavy, the silence unbearable. William's chest rose and fell rapidly, his fists trembling at his sides. Anne's eyes narrowed, sharp and assessing. Charles's face slackened with disbelief, pain flickering across his features like an old wound reopened. His voice was low but thunderous. "How could you, Camilla? All eyes turned to her. She stood still, her posture rigid, her face pale under the harsh light. For a few seconds, she seemed unable to speak. Her gaze was locked on the jewels, the very same ones that had once adorned Diana at galas and charity balls, now resting silently inside her own vault. I didn't know anything about this," she finally stammered. Her voice trembled. "This must be a setup. Someone is trying to destroy me. Why would Diana's jewels be here, in a vault I've never opened?" William's control snapped. "A setup? Don't insult us, Camilla. These were my mother's. They were promised to me and Harry, not locked away like forgotten relics." Anne's tone cut through the rising tension, sharp and deliberate. "If this is truly a plot against you, then who would dare? And why hide it from us for months?" Her eyes lingered on Camilla's face, searching for any trace of truth. But Camilla said nothing. The room filled with the hum of the scanning machine, still active in the corner, its faint light pulsing over the recovered jewels. The reflection of the sapphire pendant shimmered across the walls. Like Diana's shadow, watching silently from the past, the discovery had not just unearthed lost treasures, it had unearthed suspicion and fractured the fragile calm within the royal family. The jewels had finally been found, but the question that now gripped everyone in that cold, silent chamber was far darker. If these pieces of Diana's legacy were hidden here, in Camilla's vault, who put them there, and why? And how could something meant to honor Diana end up locked away in Camilla's vault, under royal silence and shadowed intent? Stay glued. The vault that should have been empty. When the sealed chamber at Ray Mill House was finally subjected to AI scanning, the results sent tremors through both the palace walls and the public imagination. What the technology revealed was not a stash of private correspondence or unremarkable heirlooms, but a chilling echo of a woman long gone. Princess Diana. The images produced by the scan left officials momentarily speechless. Behind steel and cedar, among ordinary household records, lay items unmistakably tied to the late princess, objects believed to have vanished decades ago. The first object identified was a velvet-lined box containing a delicate sapphire and diamond brooch, a piece Diana had worn in her early years of marriage, captured in countless photographs that defined an era. Next to it, folded with careful precision, were fragments of handwritten notes, her script instantly recognizable to those who knew her best, a looping, emotional hand that carried weight with every word. Even more startling was the presence of a small gold locket, its clasp still firm, its surface engraved with an initial D inside, technicians reported, was a faded photograph of her young sons, William and Harry, smiling, oblivious to the storm that would one day engulf their family. The revelations raised questions that technology could not answer. How had these belongings found their way into a vault under Camilla's name? Records showed no legal transfer, no official documentation, nothing but the vague, bureaucratic entry, undisclosed transfer. To insiders, this absence spoke louder than proof. Courtiers exchanged hushed words, their unease spilling into speculation. Was this an act of betrayal, a careless concealment, or an arrangement hidden behind layers of palace protocol? The reaction was immediate and volatile. Within royal circles, some whispered of sabotage, suggesting that Camilla herself had been set up, her vault chosen as the stage for a cruel spectacle. Others, especially those still loyal to Diana's memory, were less forgiving. They saw the discovery as the final insult, an appropriation of what belonged to a woman who had been pushed to the margins and ultimately lost her life in tragedy. One aide, present when the scan results were confirmed, described the atmosphere as airless, as though the past had forced its way into the present, demanding to be heard. To the public, the symbolism was unbearable. For decades, Diana's possessions had been thought scattered, lost, or confined to archives where they would remain untouched. Now, to learn that such personal treasures had been hidden away in a vault associated with Camilla, Diana's rival in love and later successor in role, struck a nerve that could not be dulled by official statements. Questions surged, louder than any denial. Was this the result of unresolved disputes during the divorce settlement, items quietly shuffled from one ledger to another? Or was it something more deliberate, a silent pact designed to bury pieces of Diana's life where they would never be found? One certainty lingered. The vault was no longer just Camilla's. It had become a time capsule of grief, betrayal, and memory. Proof that even the strongest locks cannot keep the past buried forever. But what if those jewels weren't misplaced at all, but hidden with purpose, guarding a truth too dangerous to surface again? Echoes of a broken crown. The scan began as a simple archival audit, a standard security inspection of royal holdings under Queen Camilla's care. But what it uncovered was anything but ordinary. When artificial intelligence swept through the vault at Ray Mill House, the system detected inconsistencies, faint outlines that did not match the documented inventory. The algorithm reconstructed hidden compartments long sealed behind reinforced panels. And within those quiet shadows, the ghost of another woman's life began to take form. Diana, Princess of Wales. The discovery shook the investigation team. What should have been records of Camilla's personal jewelry collection instead revealed an entirely different story. The AI scanner identified a sapphire and diamond bracelet, the very one Prince Charles had commissioned in 1981 for Camilla, just weeks before his wedding to Diana. The same gift that had once brought Diana to tears on the eve of her fairy tale marriage now lay beside Diana's own sapphire brooch, a piece long reported missing after her death. It was a scene heavy with irony and pain. Two tokens of love, forged in secrecy, reunited decades later in a vault that was never meant to be opened. Further scans exposed sealed envelopes marked only with the letter D inside. Digital imaging revealed handwritten notes from Diana herself, drafts of speeches, reflections on her failing marriage, and one letter addressed simply, "For my sons, when they are older." The ink had faded, but her voice seemed to echo through every curve of the page. Nearby rested a small gold locket containing photographs of young William and Harry, their childhood smiles preserved against the slow erosion of time. Officials handling the scan described the atmosphere as unbearably tense. No one could explain how Diana's personal belongings had come to rest among Camilla's possessions. There were no receipts, no documented transfers, only a vague entry logged years earlier. Undisclosed acquisition, 1994. The ambiguity fueled every imaginable theory. Some whispered that Diana herself might have sent the items for safekeeping during the turbulent years before her death. Others suspected the pieces were quietly moved after the divorce, absorbed into the wrong inventory, and conveniently forgotten. But among Diana's remaining confidants, the anger was palpable. To them, the vault symbolized everything she had fought against: silence, control, and erasure. Inside Buckingham Palace, shock turned to panic. Aides moved quickly to remove the items, sealing them once more under the royal treasury's custody. But the damage was done. The AI had illuminated what decades of discretion had kept buried. The intertwining of two women's lives, one adored, one despised, and the relics of a rivalry that refused to die. And so, as the palace scrambled to contain the fallout, one haunting question lingered. Were these relics placed in Camilla's vault by accident, or by a truth the Crown could never admit? Whatever the answer, the scan had unearthed more than jewelry. It had uncovered the one thing the monarchy feared most: memory made unerasable. And could this discovery be more than a coincidence? Perhaps a buried confession from within the palace itself? A truth too dangerous to forget. Stay with us. The Ghost in the Crown. The AI discovery had done more than expose a hidden vault. It had reopened a wound Britain thought had healed. The moment Diana's jewels were identified among Camilla's possessions, the memories of 1997 came flooding back. That year changed everything. On a quiet night in Paris, a car sped through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel and never came out alive. Diana, Princess of Wales, the woman who redefined royalty and captured the hearts of millions, was gone. The news spread like wildfire across continents, leaving a trail of disbelief, heartbreak, and fury. In the early hours, the voice of Foreign Secretary Robin Cook confirmed what the world had refused to believe. Diana, Princess of Wales, has in fact been killed in that car accident. Within minutes, the United Kingdom fell silent. Across London, mourners gathered outside Kensington Palace, covering the gates with oceans of flowers. The grief was unlike anything the monarchy had faced in modern times: raw, emotional, and tinged with anger. And in that storm of sorrow, two names carried the weight of blame: Charles and Camilla. Camilla, already branded the other woman, became a symbol of everything the public despised about royal privilege. While Diana was seen as pure, kind, and wronged, Camilla became the villain in a national tragedy. For years, she vanished from public life. Curtains were drawn at Ray Mill House. Her presence was erased from official events, her name whispered with disdain. Britain had chosen its side, and it was not hers. But history, as always, shifted quietly in the background. Charles, unwilling to abandon the woman he loved, began the slow and deliberate process of reintroducing Camilla to public life. It started subtly: a shared appearance here, a discreet photograph there. By 1999, the first official picture of them together was released. It was a test of public tolerance, and though many were outraged, others had begun to soften. The monarchy, wounded but resilient, knew that time could rewrite perception. In 2005, after years of quiet preparation, Charles and Camilla married in a modest civil ceremony, far from the grandeur of royal tradition, but still monumental in its significance. She became the Duchess of Cornwall, avoiding the emotionally charged title once held by Diana, Princess of Wales. Slowly, she began rebuilding. Her days became defined by charitable work, advocacy, and unwavering presence beside Charles. By 2022, when Charles ascended the throne as king, Camilla's transformation was complete, crowned queen consort, a role that once seemed impossible. Yet no title, no crown, could silence the ghost of Diana. For William and Harry, their mother remained untouchable, the embodiment of compassion, vulnerability, and truth. For the public, she remained the people's princess, frozen in memory, eternal in grace. And so, when the AI scan revealed Diana's lost jewels hidden deep within Camilla's private vault, it reignited the unspoken war between two legacies. These jewels were not mere ornaments. They were fragments of Diana's spirit, symbols of a love story rewritten by betrayal and time. To many, their presence in Camilla's vault was not a coincidence, but a confession, as if the crown itself could not escape the reach of Diana's shadow. And in that moment, suspicion turned into silence. But could Diana's shadow truly outlive her? The crown's foundation trembled. Cracks in the crown's foundation. The jewels unearthed by artificial intelligence had done more than stir old wounds. They had called into question the very future of Queen Camilla inside the monarchy. For years, she had walked a delicate tightrope, balancing between public resentment and royal duty. But this scandal cut deeper than any headline. To many, it was not simply about gemstones or heirlooms, but about betrayal, the unshakable reminder that Camilla's story began by displacing another woman, Diana, and now seemed to circle back to her once again. At the heart of this storm stood King Charles. His entire life has been marked by battles for love, legitimacy, and loyalty. Few remember just how much he risked to place Camilla at his side. He defied centuries of tradition, withstood public scorn, and endured strained silences with his own mother, Queen Elizabeth II, to ensure Camilla would one day be crowned. When the crown suggested she be styled only as Princess Consort, it was Charles who demanded the title of Queen Consort. His willpower bent the monarchy to his desire. And yet Charles has always been a man who values truth and trust above all else. Once that trust is broken, history shows he is ruthless in cutting ties. The downfall of Michael Fawcett, his once trusted aide, is proof of this. For decades, Fawcett was at Charles's side, managing personal affairs and palace dealings. But the moment whispers of financial misconduct surfaced, Charles ended their relationship without hesitation. Loyalty betrayed was loyalty lost forever. If he could not forgive a man who had served him faithfully for years, how then could he overlook suspicions tied to Camilla? Suspicions that now reach into the very legacy of Diana, the woman whose ghost continues to haunt him? But the storm does not rest solely in Charles's judgment. It gathers even more force when it touches the next generation. Prince William. His role as heir makes his opinion matter in ways that cannot be ignored. Reports over the years have painted a clear picture. William has kept Camilla at arm's length. Courteous in public, distant in private, he has never embraced her as family. One story, widely reported, revealed that William refused to allow his children to call her grandma, insisting she was simply their grandfather's wife. Small though it seemed, the gesture spoke volumes. At key state occasions, these unspoken tensions revealed themselves. Observers at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral noted how William scarcely acknowledged Camilla, his focus fixed on honoring his grandmother and supporting Catherine. At the time, the gesture seemed subtle. In the light of the vault scandal, it appears deliberate, a signal of quiet disapproval. Then there is Princess Anne, known as the monarchy's anchor. Anne's loyalty to duty is unshakable, her respect hard-won. If there is one figure whose judgment carries weight second only to the sovereign, it is hers. For years, Anne has regarded Camilla with suspicion, keeping a measured distance. To her, Camilla has always seemed an outsider, one who has not endured the same sacrifices the monarchy demands. And so, the weight presses down from every side. Charles's shaken trust, William's cold rejection, and Anne's stern disapproval. Together they form a triad of resistance that leaves Camilla's position more fragile than ever. She once overcame decades of public outrage and rose to the crown. But in the monarchy, titles mean nothing if trust is lost. Trust is the crown's true currency, and once it slips through your fingers, no jewels, not even Diana's, can buy it back. So, what do you think? Has Queen Camilla's rise finally reached its breaking point? Or will she defy the storm once more? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.